Welcome to Build Strong Habits podcast channel. This is an audio podcast, so take your eyes off the screen, sit back, relax, and listen.
Welcome, everyone. We're diving deep today into something pretty unique.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris's concession speech after the 2024 U.S. election. We don't often get to analyze a moment like this, a speech given after a hard-fought campaign.
Yeah, it's really fascinating because it's more than just like a political statement, right? This speech kind of gives us a glimpse into Harris's character,
Yeah.
her resilience, how she navigates a tough loss. And I think those are themes that resonate with anyone who's faced a setback, whether it's in politics or just in life.
Totally. And she opens the speech in a really unexpected way, repeating good afternoon several times.
She's gathering herself,
Yeah,
taking a deep breath, kind of steadying herself before addressing the nation.
absolutely.
After, such a difficult loss.
Yeah, and then she goes on to address the election results head on. And what really struck me here was her emphasis on the peaceful transfer of power. She says, a fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. In today's climate, that's a powerful statement.
It really is, especially considering everything that's happened in recent years, where the very foundation of our democracy has been tested. So her commitment to this principle, even in defeat, speaks volumes about her respect for democratic institutions.
It's like she's saying, look, I may not agree with the outcome, but I respect the process. And that's a message that I think transcends partisan politics.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about upholding the core values of our democracy, even when it's difficult, even when you're on the losing side.
Right.
But accepting the results doesn't mean she's giving up on her values or the fight for what she believes in.
Exactly. And she goes on to talk about the importance of freedom, justice, equality. And you can tell it's not just empty words for her. She uses really specific examples, like when she talks about reproductive rights.
Yeah, you're talking about the part where she says, I will never give up the fight for a future where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own bodies and not have their government telling them what to do. It's not just a statement about policy, it's about her deeply held beliefs.
Exactly. It's about the principles that drive her, the things she's willing to fight for, even when the odds are stacked against her. And she acknowledges that this fight isn't going to be easy. She actually says to young people directly, sometimes the fight takes a while.
It's true, and I think that really resonated with me because she's speaking to a generation that's facing huge challenges, climate change, social unrest, political division, it's a lot. And she's saying, this is a marathon, not a sprint. You're going to face setbacks, but don't let them extinguish your passion for making the world a better place.
I love that there's this real sense of hope woven into that message, even in the face of defeat. And it's not just about individual perseverance. It's about the power of collective action, too, right?
Exactly. Throughout the speech, she keeps coming back to the importance of community, of coming together to fight for the things we believe in. She even specifically thanks all her supporters, her team, the volunteers who worked so hard on the campaign.
And she uses this really great quote to drive that point home. She says, we have been intentional about building community and building coalitions, bringing people together from every walk of life and background, united by love of country. It's a powerful reminder that we're stronger together, especially in such a divided political landscape.
Definitely.
It's interesting how she connects that idea of community to her broader message of hope. It's like she's saying, yes, we may have lost this election, but the fight for our values continues, and we're in this together.
Yeah, and what's interesting is it's subtle, but she's not just talking about political activism. She's talking about living our values in every aspect of our lives. There's this line that really struck me where she says, we will continue to wage this fight in the voting booth, in the courts, and in the public square. And we will also wage it in quieter ways in how we live our lives.
It's a call to action, but it's also a call to reflection. Like she's asking us to look inward, to examine how our own actions, our own choices contribute to the world we want to see.
Exactly. And she connects that to resilience, too, especially when she's talking to young people. Remember the quote, don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place. You have power. That's not just some empty phrase. It's a challenge.
It's like she's saying, don't underestimate your own ability to make a difference. And I think that's especially important in a world where young people are bombarded with so much negativity, so much despair.
Absolutely. It would be easy to just become cynical, to disengage from the whole political process. But she's urging them to hold on to hope, to believe in the power of their own voices, even when things feel dark.
You know what's really brilliant here is how she weaves together these themes of hope, resilience, and unity. It's not just about fighting for what you believe in. It's about doing it with grace, with determination, and with a community.
Right, and that's what makes this speech so powerful. It goes beyond the typical political rhetoric and speaks to something deeper. Our ability to overcome adversity, to find strength in each other, and to create a better future, even in the face of setbacks.
And she uses such vivid imagery to convey that message. Like that metaphor of filling the sky with a billion stars.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful image of hope and possibility.
It's really interesting how she uses that metaphor, because it's not just about individual brilliance, it's about collective action, about each of us contributing our own light to illuminate the darkness. It's such a beautiful way of reminding us that even small acts of kindness, courage, determination can have a ripple effect.
I love that. It's like she's saying, don't underestimate the power of your own actions, no matter how small they may seem. Because when we all come together, we can create something truly extraordinary.
Exactly. And that message of hope and possibility, it's woven throughout the entire speech. Even in the face of defeat, she chooses to focus on the potential for a brighter future, a future that we can all help create.
So we've really unpacked a lot here, haven't we? We've seen how Harris gracefully accepts the election results, reaffirms her commitment to these core democratic values, and inspires with her message of hope and resilience.
Definitely. But there's still so much more to explore in this speech. In the next part of our deep dive, we're going to delve into the nuances of her rhetoric and dissect the specific techniques she uses to craft such a compelling and memorable message.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So we were talking about how Harris uses language to really drive home these points.
Yeah, like how does she actually construct this powerful message?
Right, because her language goes way beyond like the typical political stuff, She uses these really vivid metaphors and phrases that just stick with you.
You mentioned the dark time quote earlier,
Yeah.
which I think really captures that feeling of uncertainty a lot of people are probably feeling.
Exactly. And it's so smart how she acknowledges that darkness, but then immediately shifts to action. She doesn't dwell on the negative. She says we need to fill the sky with the light of a billion stars. It's a brilliant way to move from feeling passive to feeling empowered.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's like she's saying, yeah, things are tough, but we're not helpless. We have the power to create our own light, our own hope. And she gives us examples of what that kind of hope-driven action looks like.
Right, like when she talks about those she met working as a prosecutor, people who have been through unimaginable hardship, but still find the courage to take a stand, fight for justice, fight for themselves, fight for others.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
It's like she's saying, look, I've seen resilience in action. I know it's possible even in the darkest of times. And by sharing those stories, she makes resilience feel so much more real.
And she uses repetition, too, which is a classic technique. Phrases like, don't ever give up, the fight is worth it, you have power. They come up again and again throughout the speech. And it's not just for emphasis, it actually creates this rhythm, this cadence that makes the speech more memorable and more emotionally resonant.
It's true. It's almost like she's inviting the audience to chant along with her, to really internalize those messages of hope and resilience.
Exactly. And then ending with that image of a billion stars illuminating the darkness, it leaves you with such a sense of awe and possibility.
The perfect ending to such a powerful speech.
It is. She's not just conceding defeat. She's planting seeds of hope, reminding us that we all have a role to play in shaping a better future.
So what do you think is the most important takeaway from Harris's speech? What's the one thing we should all carry with us?
You know what strikes me most is how she blends her personal experience with her political ideals and this really human message of hope. It's a reminder that even when we face setbacks, even when the world feels dark, we can choose resilience, we can connect with others, and we can keep fighting for what we believe in.
It's a message that goes way beyond politics.
Yeah.
It speaks to who we are as human beings, and I think it's something we all need to hear now more than ever. So we've talked about those big themes in Harris's speech: grace, resilience, unity, hope. But let's zoom in on the language itself now. How does she actually create this powerful message?
Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting. Because it goes way beyond just the typical political talk, She uses these really vivid metaphors and phrases that stay with you long after you've heard the speech.
Yeah, like you mentioned that dark time quote. It really captures that uncertainty that a lot of people are probably feeling right now.
Exactly. And it's brilliant how she acknowledges that darkness, but then she immediately turns it into a call to action. She doesn't just wallow in it, She says, fill the sky with the light of a billion stars. It's such a powerful shift from feeling passive to feeling empowered.
Right. It's like she's saying, yeah, things are tough, but we're not helpless. We can create our own light, our own hope. And she gives us specific examples of what that looks like in action.
Exactly. Like when she talks about the people she met as a prosecutor, people who had been through so much hardship, but still found the courage to stand up and fight for justice, to fight for themselves, to fight for others.
It's such a powerful point.
It is.
It's like she's saying, I've seen resilience firsthand. I know it's possible even when things are really difficult.
Yeah, and she uses repetition too, which is a classic technique. You hear phrases like, don't ever give up, the fight is worth it, you have power, over and over throughout the speech. And it's not just for emphasis, it creates this rhythm, this cadence that really makes the speech stick with you.
It's like she wants the audience to chant along with her, to really take those messages to heart.
Exactly. And then ending with that image of a billion stars, illuminating the darkness. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it leaves you with this feeling of hope and possibility.
It does. She's not just admitting defeat, she's planting seeds of hope, reminding us that we can make a difference.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what do you think is the most important takeaway from this speech?
I think it's how she combines her own personal experiences with her political beliefs and this really human message of hope. It's a reminder that even when things are tough, we can choose resilience, connect with each other, and keep fighting for what we believe in.
It's a message that goes way beyond politics. It's about how we live our lives. And I think we can all learn from that.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Build Strong Habits.